What's going on, everybody? So I'm going to take you through my two favorite life resources and what I've learned from these and why I think they'll be really helpful for you on your journey of living a better life and living a happier life. And so these are two things that I come back to every time I go through a big life change, whether it's quitting a job or a relationship ending or whatever it is. I go to these and I use these to reset and to recalibrate my path, because I found that they're really helpful for my short-term and long-term ability just to live a good life and to be happy and to be goal-oriented. And so the two resources, the first one is called Optimize.me, which is a website by a philosopher named Brian Johnson. And the second one is the book, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And that's Brian on my wall. And this is a Paulo Coelho quote right here. To start with Optimize.me, why I love this resource is Brian Johnson's similar to Tim Ferriss or Tony Robbins in the sense that he's a life hacker. He's someone who experiments with tons of things, reads huge amounts of information, and then shares learnings with the world. But where he really differs for me from every other life improver or life philosopher in the world is that his lessons tend to be much more focused. And so whereas I find I love Tony Robbins, I love Tim Ferriss, but I find that they just put out a lot of content. And Brian Johnson's a lot more focused. So on his site, things are very focused by topic, like happiness, living a great day, living a great year, how to find your purpose. Like things are very narrowly focused. And then he distills his favorite lessons in the world from every book and philosopher he's ever read into these like 1 hour lessons is what they are. I love the format and I just love the content. So his information has really helped me just to rebuild my life. About 3 years ago when I left the US and started traveling and I was lost and figuring out where to go in life and how to live life and what I wanted to do with my life. He ended up being the main resource that I turned to and just helped me dramatically to reprogram my brain of how to be happy, how to find my life purpose, all these different things. I got huge amounts of clarity from his content. So I'm forever grateful to him and I'm such a big fan. So for anyone who's thinking about how do I live a better life, he is the number one resource that I recommend. I'll put a link in the description, but it's just optimize.me. But his content's phenomenal. And the other one, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, is a fictional story that's an incredibly well-selling book. And I heard about the book from Will Smith, who I'm a big fan of, and I'm a really big fan of the way he thinks about the world. And he said to read that book, and I read it. It's just a great story about the journey of life and how to live life. I'll jump in, and I'm going to share my favorite learnings from both. So for Brian Johnson and Optimize.me, one cool thing to share is his tagline is, "Isn't it a bit odd that most schools go from science to math to history, but somehow miss the class on how to live?" I love that because I couldn't agree more. In school, they didn't teach us the skills of how to live life. They taught us very specific subjects that don't lead us necessarily to living a successful and happy and productive life. So I love the tagline and his overall thesis. So the first lesson I'll share is our purpose in life is arete. And what arete translates to is expressing the highest version of ourselves moment to moment. And this is actually on my wall back here. But the idea is that if there's a gap between what we're being, what we're capable of being, that leads to unhappiness, that leads to depression, that leads to all the issues in our life. And if in each moment we're living up to what we think we should be living at from a decision making, from what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, from just on a holistic level, if we're living up to our expectations, then we're going to be happy and fulfilled and satisfied in life. And so he believes everyone has the same purpose and then different missions underneath that. And his question is to constantly ask yourself, what would the highest version of myself do in this moment? And so this concept is what I come back to whenever I'm feeling off or unhappy. I come back to this and I try to think about, what am I doing that's not up to my potential that is making me unhappy, and trying to dig in and understand that. And I love that concept. The next one is on my wall, which is what one can be, one must be. Essentially the same concept in a different way. but it's just that our obligation in life is to live up to our potential. The next one is that willpower is the engine of success, and willpower is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Cultivating our willpower and having strong willpower is one of the most important things we can do in our lives. One quick hack is that deep breathing is one of the easiest ways to increase willpower. So if you want to make better decisions, just take a deep breath and then think about it. The next is that some hacks for happiness, which is the ultimate goal, is to be more grateful, to exercise, because exercise is a miracle drug and increases our creativity and our happiness, to meditate, and to sleep, and to eat well. I rebuilt my day-to-day to try to optimize for happiness based on his lessons. The next one around goals is that instead of getting distracted with a lot of different things, focus on one big goal and have a lot of simplicity and focus towards that goal. The next one around food is that if what you're eating didn't exist 100 years ago, don't eat it. And don't eat anything with more than 8 ingredients or ingredients you don't understand. That's it for food. It's pretty simple. The last one, which is also on my wall, is learn from the experiences and knowledge of others, but don't take advice. It's the idea that everyone comes from a place of bias and we're all different. I love that concept. And so diving into my favorite lessons from The Alchemist, the first one is that life is about the journey, not the destination. So just love and embrace the journey, because that's what we have. It's not about getting to a certain point. It's about going through the process. And that's what life is all about. The second one is that focus on your long-term goal and go for it with everything in your power and block everything and everyone else out. So just have your blinders on and go for what you want to do in life and keep everything else out. The next one is pay attention to omens, which are signals that steer you in the right direction. So just things that happen in life that will give you indicators of what path to go on in life. Pay attention. And the last one is everything that's bad that happens to you is a net positive and is part of your journey. I love that idea because it can be hard to make sense of really challenging and hard times, and that just helps. And it's part of the first point, which is just embrace the journey and enjoy life. So those are my favorite learnings. I'll have links to the 2 resources in the description. And if you like this, subscribe and give me feedback. And thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good one.